the painted door, one hand resting on the frame. You smiled before I found the words and said I looked the same. The morning light fell through the glass. You moved your coffee to make room. So I sat down across from you, like no time had passed at all. You asked if I still took it warm. I watched the water wheel turn slow. You chose the table by the window, the one with sunlight on the chair. A paper bag between our hands, and flour floating in the air. So I stayed a little longer while the bread cooled on the tray. You talked about the years between us, then looked at me the old familiar way. The bell above the doorway moved. Someone came and someone left. You folded back the empty bag and asked what I was doing next. So I sat there beside the window with another cup to share. The blue door stayed behind us, but neither one of us went anywhere. The water kept turning. You moved your chair closer. You were early this time, already sitting by the glass. 2 cups waiting on the table, steam rising between us. You tapped the chair beside you, like you knew where I would sit. You were early this time, and I was glad I wasn't first. You left the warmer cup for me without asking how I took it. You're early this time, like you didn't wanna miss the little part before we spoke, when everything still felt easy. Your coat was folded on the bench. My name was written on the order. You said the baker knew you now, then slid the plate a little closer. You were early this time, and I was glad like you remembered what I liked. You were early this time, and the clock stayed out of sight. We let the morning pass the window without saying we should leave. Cups grew light in our hands. You looked toward the blue front door, then ordered something else instead. You were early this time, and I stayed later than I planned. You smiled when they brought another plate and moved it between us. You're early this time, maybe next time I will be there before the coffee starts, keeping the window seat for you. Your cup stayed by mine until the light moved on. You broke the roll in half. Sugar fell across the table. A little cinnamon caught on the sleeve of your blue coat. I reached before I thought. You held still and let me brush it off. Cinnamon on your sleeve, a small thing I could have missed. You looked down at my hand and smiled like you remembered it. Cinnamon on your sleeve, the coffee waited by the glass. For a second we were closer than the years between us. You turned the plate around and left the softer half beside me. I asked where you had been. You said the answer could take all morning. Cinnamon on your sleeve, a small thing I could have missed. You folded back your cuff and asked if any more was there. Cinnamon on your sleeve, the water wheel moved beyond the glass. We forgot the next question and let the quiet stay. A bell rang from the counter. Someone carried fresh bread through. You reached across for the sugar and left your hand close to mine. Cinnamon on your sleeve, I brushed the last piece from the seam. You didn't pull away, you only moved your chair nearer. Cinnamon on your sleeve, the cups were empty by then. Still neither one of us stood up when the next tray came in. You left the cuff unfolded, I left my hand on the table. reached at the same time, then stopped and laughed together. You pulled your hand away, I pushed the basket back to you. The loaf we both reached for ended up between us. You tore the first piece slowly and left the larger half for me. The loaf we both reached for stayed warm inside the cloth. We didn't say much after that, we only kept passing it across. You found the butter knife, I opened up the apricot jar. Your fingers brushed the handle like they used to in the past. The loaf we both reached for ended up between us. You spread the jam too close to the edge and I caught it with my thumb. The loaf we both reached for was nearly gone by noon. We ordered nothing else, but neither one of us moved. You folded up the paper and placed it near my cup, then asked if I remember the bakery we used to love. The loaf we both reached for left crumbs across the table. You gathered some into your hand and brushed the rest toward mine. The loaf we both reached for was gone before we knew, but the empty basket stayed right there between us two. You kept the paper bag, I kept the last small piece. We carry both cups to the window, past the baskets by the wall. He chose the chair beside the sunlight and left the other one for me. Outside, the water moved slowly. Inside, the bread was still warm. 2 cups by the wide window, 2 coats resting on one chair. You turned your cup between your hands and asked how long I could stay there. 2 cups by the wide window, morning moving through the glass. We watched the wheel go round and let the quiet answer back. You pointed to the stone bridge where the stream bent out of sight. I said I used to think about it on mornings that felt like this. 2 cups by the wide window, a plate we kept passing around. You broke the pastry into pieces and brushed the sugar from the cloth. 2 cups by the wide window, the room grew brighter as we talked. Neither one of us checked the time when the bell above the door rang. days I came here, then waited for the answer. 2 cups by the wide window, another pot beside the tray. You said the view was better when there was someone there to stay. 2 cups by the wide window, the afternoon began to show. We moved our chairs a little closer and watched the water wheel turn slow. Your cup beside mine, 2 rings upon the table. The wheel turned beyond the window, slow enough to watch each board. You traced a circle on the table with the handle of your spoon. The room was full of voices, but none of them reached us. Water wheel morning, moving without any hurry. You looked out through the glass, then turned back before I spoke. Water wheel morning, the light stayed on your face. We let the silence settle like it already knew its place. A fresh tray crossed the counter, warm air followed through the room. You asked if I still came here when the trees began to bloom. Water wheel morning, moving without any hurry. You folded your hands around the cup and waited through my answer. Water wheel morning, the stream kept passing by. You smiled at something small I had almost forgotten. A shadow moved across the table, then the sunlight found us again. You said some things return slowly when no one tries to make them. Water wheel morning, turning softly past the window. You moved your chair beside me so we both could see the view. Water wheel morning, the cups were empty by then. Still we stayed until the light reached the other side of the room. The wheel kept turning, your shoulder stayed near mine. The server brought the berry jar. You shook your head and smiled, then asked if they still kept the apricot behind the counter. I never told you this morning. You simply hadn't forgotten. You remembered the apricot jam, the one I always chose. You opened up the little jar and placed it by my plate. You remembered the apricot jam. After all this time apart, I spread it on the warm bread and tried not to look surprised. You said it wasn't difficult. Some things just stayed with you. Then stirred your coffee twice, the way you always used to do. You remembered the apricot jam and how thin I liked it spread. You left the middle piece for me and took the crust instead. You remembered the apricot jam. The sunlight crossed the table. For a moment all the years between felt smaller than the jar. I asked what else you remembered. You looked down at your hands, then turned the label toward me and said more than I had planned. You remembered the apricot jam, so I remembered something too. The way you saved the smallest things and never said you did. You remembered the apricot jam. We finished every piece, then ordered one more loaf before the table could be cleared. The empty jar stayed open. Your hand rested beside it. A fresh loaf came from the kitchen, steam rising through the paper. You reached to open up the bag, then laughed and pulled your hand away. The baker said to give it time. You looked at me and stayed. Leave the bread to cool, there's no reason to hurry. We can let the morning stretch past everything we planned. Leave the bread to cool, keep your coat there on the chair. The table's still beside the window, and I'm not going anywhere. You told me about the small apartment with the trees outside your room. I asked about the songs you played when you couldn't fall asleep. Leave the bread to cool, there's no reason to hurry. You can finish what you started, I've got time to hear it now. Leave the bread to cool, the paper slowly settled flat. You poured the last of the coffee and moved the cup toward me. a folded paper bag, then asked if I was free next week. Leave the bread to cool, we can stay a little longer. By the time the loaf was ready, we had chosen another day. Leave the bread to cool, you wrote the hour on the paper, then folded it between us like something worth keeping safe. The loaf was warm enough, we carried it together. You said there was something, you almost told me back then. The cup turned slowly in your hands before you looked up again. The room stayed bright around us, but the table felt still. The story we never finished was waiting where we left it, between the bread and coffee, between the words we chose. The story we never finished came back without a warning. You said the first small sentence, and I already knew the rest. You spoke about that evening, the train you almost missed, the message you kept writing, then closed without sending it. The story we never finished was smaller than I remembered. No grand goodbye between us, just two people letting go. The story we never finished sat quietly on the table. You said you should have stayed, I said I should have asked. The water moved beyond the window, a tray came warm from the oven. You reached across the table and left your hand beside mine. The story we never finished didn't need a better ending. It only needed one more morning and enough time to speak. The story we never finished felt lighter when it ended. You folded the empty paper and asked what came after this. I turned the paper over and wrote down next Thursday. You cut the loaf across the middle and turn the end piece toward me. A little butter on the corner, just the way I didn't ask if I still liked it. You only placed it by my cup. Butter on the corner piece, melting into every line. You remembered where to spread it, like it hadn't been that long. Butter on the corner piece, your hand still warm from holding it. I took it without saying how much the small things stayed. You kept the softer slice beside you and tore it slowly while I spoke. The knife rested on the napkin between the sugar and the spoon. Butter on the corner piece, a little salt upon the crust. You listened through the quiet parts and never tried to fill them in. Butter on the corner piece, the sunlight reached the empty plate. You asked if I wanted another before the last bite was gone. Said you always save that part. You smiled and looked away, then pushed the butter closer, like there was more to say. Butter on the corner piece, still warm enough to soften. You broke another slice in two and left the better half with me. Butter on the corner piece, the room moved on around us, but we stayed with what was simple and let it mean enough. The knife stayed on the napkin, your hand stayed near my cup. The baker folded down the paper and set the one loaf by your hand. A little flower marked the surface where your fingers held the bag. You drew a line across the dust, then looked at me and smiled. Flower on the paper bag, your name beside the fold, a few small words beneath it written while I looked away. Flower on the paper bag, soft enough to brush aside, but I left every mark there and held it carefully. You asked which road I took home. I said I hadn't chosen yet. You turned the bag around and rode a street I used to know. Flower on the paper bag, a corner bent beneath your hand. You circled one small hour and placed the pencil near my cup. Flower on the paper bag, the letters blurred beneath the dust. I read them more than once before I folded it again. The counter grew quieter. The sunlight moved along the floor. You said the place stayed open late, then waited without asking more. Flower on the paper bag, your note still underneath. I tucked it inside my coat before we stood to leave. Flower on the paper bag, a little drifted off so slowly. I forgot to step away. The bag stayed warm between us. The note stayed in my pocket. The cups were nearly empty. The plates had all been cleared. You looked toward the counter, then asked if I was leaving. I reached for my coat. You raised your hand instead. One more pot of coffee, set it here between us. There are still a few things we haven't talked about. One more pot of coffee, let the window light move on. We can finish this morning without watching the clock. The server brought 2 clean cups. You poured the first one for me. I told you about the winter. You told me where you had been. One more pot of coffee, steam rising through the quiet. You listened to the small parts I usually leave out. One more pot of coffee, the water wheel turned outside. The room began to empty, but neither of us minded. You folded up your coat again and placed it on the chair. Then asked if I still walked home along the road beside the stream. One more pot of coffee, a little more time together. You filled my cup halfway and left the rest for later. One more pot of coffee, the sunlight reached the door. We stayed until the last drop and talked a little more. The pot was empty. The chair stayed close. The basket sat between us with one small roll inside. You lifted up the linen, then left the corner raised. A folded piece of paper was waiting underneath. Your note beneath the basket, 3 words in one small time, written in the careful hand I still knew right away. Your note beneath the basket, you watched me read it twice, then turned toward the window and let me choose the answer. I placed the paper by my cup and traced the number with my thumb. You broke the final roll in half, but neither one of us ate your pencil from the jar beside the till, then wrote one word beneath yours and slid the paper back. Your note beneath the basket, folded smaller than before. You tucked it in your pocket and smiled down at the floor. Your note beneath the basket had changed the way we left. There was no need to wonder when we would meet again. The basket was empty. The next morning was not. You said next Thursday at 11, like it was already arranged. The words stayed there between us, simple enough to keep. I checked the little calendar, then turned the screen your way. Next Thursday at 11, the same table by the glass. You said you would come early, I said I would try this time. Next Thursday at 11, not someday, not when we can. We gave the morning somewhere and wrote it down in ink. You asked if I still liked the corner where the sunlight crossed the floor. I said to save the window seat and order what we had before. Next Thursday at 11, the water wheel be on the glass. One loaf cooling in the basket, 2 cups waiting side by side. Next Thursday at 11, you repeated it once more, then folded up the calendar and reached to take your coat. We stood beside the counter while they wrapped the bread to go. You said, don't make me wait too long. I said, I won't this time. Next Thursday at 11, the blue door opened to the light. No guessing where we're going, no waiting for a sign. Next Thursday at 11, you held the date between your hands, then smiled before you left me, like the week was not that long. Thursday, 11, I saved it before I left. We stopped beside the bread shelves before we reached the door. You picked up the round one, then asked if it was too much. I held the paper bag open. You placed it carefully inside. One loaf between us, still warm beneath the fold. You said of cutting it in two. The baker tied the string, you kept one hand beneath the bag. We walked across the wooden floor, matching every step by chance. One loaf between us, a little flower on the seam. You asked which way I was going, then chose the road with me. One loaf between us, swinging gently as we walked. We talked about next Thursday like it wasn't far away. At the bridge beside the mill, you finally let the handle go. I held the bag against my coat. You said save some until we meet. One loaf between us, still warm when we stepped outside. You tore the smallest corner off and handed it to me. One loaf between us, the blue door closing behind. We took the same road home for the first time in a long while. The bread stayed warm, we kept walking. We stepped out through the blue door with a warm loaf in the back. The bell moved once above us, then the room grew quiet again. You waited on the stone path until I stood beside you. The blue door behind us, the water turning slow. You asked which way I was walking, then followed when I chose. The blue door behind us, morning stretching down the road. We didn't look back through the window. We already knew where to go. The stream ran past the mill house, sunlight moving on the stones. You held the bag between us and talked about next Thursday. The blue door behind us, the coffee cooling far away. You said 11 once again. I said I would be there. The blue door behind us, one loaf warm beneath our hands. The road divided We stood beside the water until the wheel came round again. The blue door behind us, smaller with every step. You walked a little closer when the morning wind came through. The blue door behind us, next Thursday waiting up ahead. We carried one warm loaf between us and took the same road home. The water wheel kept turning. We kept walking side by side. I saw you by the painted door, one hand resting on the frame. You smiled before I found the words and said I look the same. The morning light fell through the glass. You moved your coffee to make room, so I sat down across from you like no time had passed at all. You asked if I still took it warm. I watched the water wheel turn slow. You chose the table by the window, the one with sunlight on the chair, a paper bag between our hands, and flour floating in the air. So I stayed a little longer while the bread cooled on the tray. You talked about the years between us, then looked at me the old familiar way. 2 cups waiting on the table, steam rising between us. You tapped the chair beside you like you knew where I would sit. You were early this time, and I was glad I wasn't first. You left the warmer cup for me without asking how I took it. You were early this time, like you didn't want to miss the little part before we spoke, when everything still felt easy. Your coat was folded on the bench, my name was written on the order. You said the baker knew you now, then slid the plate a little closer. You were early this time, and I was glad I wasn't first. You saved the softer piece of bread like you remembered what I liked. You were early this time, and the clock stayed out of sight. We let the morning pass the window without saying we should leave. The water wheel kept turning, the cups grew light in our hands. You looked toward the blue front door, then ordered something else instead. You were early this time, and I stayed later than I planned. You smiled when they brought another plate and moved it between us. You were early this time, maybe next time I will be there before the coffee starts, keeping the window seat for you. Your cup stayed by mine until the light moved on. You broke the roll in half, sugar fell across the table. A little cinnamon caught on the sleeve of your blue coat. I reached before I thought. You held still and let me brush it off. Cinnamon on your sleeve, a small thing I could have missed. You looked down at my hand and smiled like you remembered it. Cinnamon on your sleeve, the coffee waited by the glass. For a second we were closer than the years between us. You turned the plate around and left the softer half beside me. I asked where you had been. You said the answer could take all morning. Cinnamon on your sleeve, a small thing I could have missed. You folded back your cuff and asked if any more was there. Cinnamon on your sleeve, the water wheel moved beyond the glass. We forgot the next question and let the quiet stay. Fresh bread through. You reached across sauce for the sugar and left your hand close to mine. Cinnamon on your sleeve, I brushed the last piece from the seam. You didn't pull away, you only moved your chair nearer. Cinnamon on your sleeve, the cups were empty by then. Still neither one of us stood up when the next tray came in. You left the cuff unfolded, I left my hand on the table. There was one loaf on the counter, still warm beneath the paper. We both reached at the same time, then stopped and laughed together. You pulled your hand away, I pushed the basket back to you. The loaf we both reached for ended up between us. You tore the first piece slowly and left the larger half for me. The loaf we both reached for stayed warm inside the cloth. We didn't say much after that, we only kept passing it across. You found the butter knife, I opened up the apricot jar. Your fingers brushed the handle like they used to in the past. The loaf we both reached for ended up between us. You spread the jam too close to the edge and I caught it with my thumb. The loaf we both reached for was nearly gone by noon. We ordered nothing else, but neither one of us moved. You folded up the paper and placed it near my cup, then asked if I remember the bakery we used to love. The loaf we both reached for left crumbs across the table. You gathered some into your hand, then brushed the rest toward mine. The loaf we both reached for was gone before we knew, but the empty basket stayed right there between us two. You kept the paper bag, I kept the last small piece. We carried both cups to the window, past the baskets by the wall. You chose the chair beside the sunlight and left the other one for me. Outside the water moves slowly, the bread was still warm. 2 cups by the wide window, 2 coats resting on one chair. You turned your cup between your hands and asked how long I could stay there. 2 cups by the wide window, morning moving through the glass. We watched the wheel go round and let the quiet answer back. You pointed to the stone bridge where the stream bent out of sight. I said I used to think about it on mornings that felt like this. 2 cups by the wide window, a plate we kept passing around. You broke the pastry into pieces and brushed the sugar from the cloth. 2 cups by the wide window, the room grew brighter as we talked. Neither one of us checked the time when the bell above the door rang. Coffee cooled between us, but we ordered it again. You asked which days I came here, then waited for the answer. 2 cups by the wide window, another pot beside the tray. You said the view was better when there was someone there to stay. 2 cups by the wide window, the afternoon began to show. We moved our chairs a little closer and watched the water wheel turn slow. Your cup beside mine, 2 rings upon the table. The wheel turned beyond the window, slow enough to watch each board. You traced a circle on the table with the handle of your spoon. The room was full of voices, but none of them reached us. Water wheel morning, moving without any hurry. You looked out through the glass, then turned back before I spoke. Water wheel morning, the light stayed on your face. We let the silence settle like it already knew its place. A fresh tray crossed the counter, warm air followed through the room. You asked if I still came here when the trees began to bloom. Water wheel morning, moving without any hurry. You folded your hands around the cup and waited through my answer. Water wheel morning, the stream kept passing by. You smiled at something small I had almost forgotten. A shadow moved across the table. Then the sunlight found us again. You said some things return slowly when no one tries to make them. Water wheel morning, turning softly past the window. You moved your chair beside me so we both could see the view. Oh, water wheel morning, the cups were empty by then. Still we stayed until the light reached the other side of the room. The wheel kept turning, your shoulders stayed near mine. The server brought the berry jar. You shook your head and smiled, then asked if they still kept the apricot behind the counter. I never told you this morning. You simply hadn't forgotten. You remembered the apricot jam, the one I always chose. You opened up the little jar and placed it by my plate. You remembered the apricot jam. After all this time apart, I spread it on the warm bread and tried not to look surprised. You said it wasn't difficult, some things just stayed with you. Then stirred your coffee twice, the way you always used to do. You remember the apricot jam and how thin I liked it spread. You left the middle piece for me and took the crust instead. You remember the apricot jam, the sunlight crossed the table. For a moment all the years between felt smaller than the jar. I asked what else you remembered. You looked down at your hands, then turned the label toward me and said, more than I had planned. You remembered the apricot jam, so I remembered something too. The way you saved the smallest things and never said you did. You remembered the apricot jam. We finished every piece. empty jar stayed open. Your hand rested beside it. Fresh loaf came from the kitchen, steam rising through the paper. You reached to open up the bag, then laughed and pulled your hand away. The baker said to give it time. You looked at me and stayed. Leave the bread to cool, there's no reason to hurry. We can let the morning stretch past everything we planned. Leave the bread to cool, keep your coat there on the chair. The table's still beside the window, and I'm not going anywhere. You told me about the small apartment with the trees outside your room. I asked about the songs you played when you couldn't fall asleep. Leave the bed to cool, there's no reason to hurry. You can finish what you started, I've got time to hear it now. Leave the bread to cool, the paper slowly settled flat. You poured the last of the coffee and moved the cup toward me. The clock above the counter passed the hour we meant to leave. You touched the folded paper bag, then asked if I was free next week. Leave the bread to cool, we can stay a little longer. By the time the loaf was ready, we had chosen another day. Leave the bread to cool, you wrote the hour on the paper, then folded it between us like something worth keeping safe. The loaf was warm enough, we carried it together. You said there was something, you almost told me back then. The cup turned slowly in your hands before you looked up again. The room stayed bright around us, but the table felt still. The story we never finished was waiting where we left it, between the bread and coffee, between the words we chose. The story we never finished came back without a warning. You said the first small sentence, and I already knew the rest. You spoke about that evening that you kept writing and closed without sending it. The story we never finished was smaller than I remembered. No grand goodbye between us, just two people letting go. The story never finished sat quietly on the table. You said you should have stayed. I said I should have asked. Across the table and left your hand beside mine. The story never finished, didn't need a better ending. It only needed one more morning and enough time to speak. The story never finished, felt lighter when it ended. You folded the empty paper and asked what came after this. I turned the paper over and wrote down next Thursday. Cut the loaf across the middle and turn the end piece toward me. A little butter on the corner, just the way I used to take it. You didn't ask if I still liked it, you only placed it by my cup. Butter on the corner piece, melting into every line. You remember where to spread it, like it hadn't been that long. Butter on the corner piece, your hand still warm from holding it. I took it without saying how much the small things stayed. You kept the softer slice beside you and tore it slowly while I spoke. The knife rested on the napkin between the sugar and the spoon. Butter on the corner piece, a little salt upon the crust. You listened through the quiet parts and never tried to fill them in. Butter on the corner piece, the sunlight reached the empty plate. You asked if I wanted another before the last bite was gone. You always save that part. You smiled and looked away and pushed the butter closer, like there was more to say. Butter on the corner piece, still warm enough to soften. You broke another slice in two and left the better half with me. Butter on the corner piece, the room moved on around us, but we stayed with what was simple and let it mean enough. The knife stayed on the napkin, your hand stayed near. folded down the paper and set the warm loaf by your hand. A little flower marked the surface where your fingers held the bag. You drew a line across the dust, then looked at me and smiled. Flower on the paper bag, your name beside the fold. A few small words beneath it, written while I looked away. Flower on the paper bag, soft enough to brush aside, but I left every mark there and held it carefully. You asked which road I took home. I said I hadn't chosen yet. You turned the bag around and rode a street I used to know. Flower on the paper bag, a corner bent beneath your hand. You circled one small hour and placed the pencil near my cup. Flower on the paper bag, the letters blurred beneath the dust. I read them more than once before I folded it again. The counter grew quieter, the sunlight moved along the floor. You said the place stayed open late, then waited without asking more. Flower on the paper bag, your notes still underneath. I tucked it inside my coat before we stood to leave. Flower on the paper bag, a little white upon my sleeve. You brushed it off so slowly, I forgot to step away. The bag stayed warm between us, the note stayed in my pocket. The cups were nearly empty, the plates had all been cleared. You looked toward the counter, then asked if I was leaving. I reached for my coat. You raised your hand instead. One more pot of coffee, set it here between us. There are still a few things we haven't talked about. One more pot of coffee, let the window light move on. We can finish this morning without watching the clock. The server brought 2 clean cups. You poured the first one for me. I told you about the winter. You told me where you had been. One more pot of coffee, steam rising through the quiet. You listen to the small parts I usually leave out. One more pot of coffee, the water wheel turned outside. The room began to empty, but neither of us minded. still walked home along the road beside the stream. One more pot of coffee, a little more time together. You filled my cup halfway and left the rest for later. One more pot of coffee, the sunlight reached the door. We stayed until the last drop, then talked a little more. The pot was empty, the chair stayed close. The basket sat between us with one small roll inside. You lifted up the linen, then left the corner raised. A folded piece of paper was waiting underneath. You know, beneath the basket, 3 words in one small time, written in a careful hand. I still knew right away. You know, beneath the basket, you watched me, read it twice, then turned toward the window and let me choose the answer. I placed the paper by my cup and traced the number with my thumb. You broke the final roll in half, but neither one of us ate. You know, beneath the basket, next Thursday just past 11, the same wide window table. If I happen to be free, you know, beneath the basket, no question written there, only enough blank space for me to add my name. I borrowed the small pencil from the jar beside the till, then wrote one word beneath yours and slid the paper back. You know, beneath the basket, folded smaller than before, you tucked it in your pocket and smiled down at the floor. You know, beneath the basket had changed the way we left. There was no need to wonder when we would meet again. The basket was empty, the next morning was not. You said next Thursday at 11, like it was already arranged. The words stayed there between us, simple enough to keep. I checked the little calendar, then turned the screen your way. Next Thursday at 11, the same table by the glass. You said you would come early, I said I would try this time. Next Thursday at 11, not someday, not when we can. We gave the morning somewhere, I would have wrote it down in ink. You asked if I still liked the corner where the sunlight crossed the floor. I said to save the window seat and order what we had before. Next Thursday at 11, the water wheel be on the glass. One loaf cooling in the basket, 2 cups waiting side by side. Next Thursday at 11, you repeated it once more, then folded up the calendar and reached to take your coat. We stood beside the counter while they wrapped the bread to go. You said, don't make me wait too long. I said, I won't this time. Next Thursday at 11, the blue door opened to the light. No guessing where we're going, no waiting for a sign. Next Thursday at 11, you held the date between your hands, then smiled before you left me, like the week was not that long. Thursday 11, I saved it before I left. We stopped beside the bread shelves before we reached the door. You picked up the round one, then asked if it was too much. I held the paper bag open. You placed it carefully inside. One loaf between us, still warm beneath the fold. You said to take the larger half. I said we both already knew. One loaf between us, enough for later in the day. We carried it together instead of cutting it in two. The baker tied the string. You kept one hand beneath the bag. We walked across the wooden floor, matching every step by chance. One loaf between us, a little flower on the seam. You asked which way I was going, then chose the road with me. One loaf between us, swinging gently as we walked. We talked about next Thursday like it wasn't far away. At the bridge beside the mill, you finally let the handle go. I held the bag against my coat. You said save some until we meet. One loaf between us, still warm when we stepped outside. You tore the smallest corner off and handed it to me. One loaf between us, the blue door closing behind. We took the same road home for the first time in a long while. The bread stayed warm. we kept walking. We stepped out through the blue door with the warm loaf in the bag. The bell moved once above us, then the room grew quiet again. You waited on the stone path until I stood beside you. The blue door behind us, the water turning slow. You asked which way I was walking, then followed when I chose. The blue door behind us, morning stretching down the road. We didn't look back through the window, we already knew where to go. The stream ran past the mill house, sunlight moving on the stones. You held the bag between us and talked about next Thursday. The blue door behind us, the coffee cooling far away. You said 11 once again, I said I would be there. The blue door behind us, one loaf warm beneath our hands. The road divided near the bridge, but neither one of us turned. You broke a corner from the bread and handed half to me. We stood beside the water until the wheel came round again. The blue door behind us, smaller with every step. You walked a little closer when the morning wind came through. The blue door behind us, next Thursday waiting up ahead. We carried one warm loaf between us and took the same road home. The water wheel kept turning, we kept walking side by side.